Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. Great to have you here today. Can't wait to get started with our Mindset and Motivation Monday topic. And that topic today is the hard lessons, the 5 hard lessons that I'm trying to teach my children while they're young so they don't need to learn them the even harder way when they're an adult. So these are things that I think whether you are going through a pandemic like we're going through right now and why they're more applicable than ever, or you're simply living everyday life. And that's because we know that there's this certain ebb and flow to life that, yes, we oftentimes want things to be easier. We want things to seem like they're not going to take as much effort. But what do we really want to instill in our children? Is that what we want for them? Do we want the easy path for them? So when they grow up, well, they think that they're just going to be able to kind of sail through adulthood, sail through relationships, and raising a family of their own as well if they choose to. So simply put today, I want to share with you 5 things that I think we should be teaching our children. Now, obviously, this is subjective, and everyone's going to have their own best way to raise their kids, and I think that that's absolutely fantastic, and you should. They're your children. You should be able to teach them how you best see fit. So for me, these are things that I learned, I would say, just a little bit later in life, and that I didn't fully grasp them. So even if they were taught to me as a child, I simply didn't hold on to them. And I want my kids to learn them at a younger age, and I especially want them to learn them right now where we're going through challenging times. We're going through difficult times, and, our kids are more aware than we think. We just came back from being on the West Coast. We're back in Boston, but we had to go through 3 different flights to get here. And we're in the airports, and it's this somber feeling. It's quiet. No one's really talking. Everyone's wearing a mask. I mean, it is some really strange times. And again, my wife and I did our best to make sure our daughters felt comfortable, that they didn't feel like things were too upside down. But no doubt about it, when you go to the airport and they're taking temperatures and things like that, well, certainly that's out of the ordinary. So what we try to do is we simply try to make sure that both of our girls, who are 5 and 7 years old right now, are getting the attention and that they deserve, but also we're asking them like, hey, how are you feeling right now? Is everything going okay? And what are you thinking about? Because we see them kind of staring off and looking at people, and we just want to make sure that they know that we're there from them to be able to talk through whatever they're thinking about. And I think that's really important, whether it's an adult or a child, that we're simply there for our friends or our partner or spouse on the days that they're maybe having a little bit more of a challenging time, and hopefully they'll be there for us as well when we have that challenging time. So what I want to take you through are 5 main lessons that I keep going back to, that I think if that my kids understand these things, well, they'll be better equipped to deal with anything that comes their way and any challenge that comes their way throughout life. So the first one is this, and again, I've learned these over the years from many brilliant mentors. So if it seems like I've read a quote to you before, I've mentioned this before, I probably have. And that's because there's this great quote, don't wish for it to be easy, right? So it's a Jim Rohn quote. I don't believe it's Zig Ziglar. I believe it's Jim Rohn, but we'll give them both credit, Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn, both amazing virtual mentors of mine, meaning like I've studied their material so much that I could essentially recite it back to you from whatever book or back in the day CD set that I was listening to. So don't wish for it to be easy, wish you were better. A lot of people would take that in a negative connotation, and I don't say that last part to my girls, but I say don't wish for it to be easy. And here's how it comes up, though. They're not going to listen to one of my rants, but if it comes up in natural conversation, this is when I try to take it to the next level. It's simply a teaching point. So, one of my daughters will ask me, how did you learn to do that? Because, they'll ask me whatever, like, hey, how'd you learn how to do that? Or you're really good at that particular thing. Now, it could be something like mundane, like we're playing soccer and I'm kicking the ball around, bouncing it off my knees and popping up in the air, like something like that. And believe me, I'm not an expert soccer player. But we'll be practicing soccer in the backyard. And I'll just say, and I always go back to this, and I say it over and over and over with them. And I say, it's just practice. That's all that it is. Before I was able to do this, I was not able to do it. And I said, anything that I've learned, I didn't know how to do it in the very beginning. And not only did I not know how to do it, I was most likely very poor at it before. So before I learned about health and fitness and nutrition and toxicity and all those things, I knew nothing about them. I grew up like most people. I ate ice cream after dinner, some Hood ice cream. I ate cereal in the morning for my breakfast. I drank Kool-Aid, like it was going out of style. And then I graduated to Crystal Light, which we thought, was so much better with all the artificial sweetener in it. So, the thing is, I didn't know any of this and no one taught us. So whatever you want to get good at, it simply takes practice. So one thing that, I'm starting to really enjoy, because it's a new challenge, and I love giving myself challenges, which is part of this and part of the first lesson, is like take on something that challenges you. A lot of times, and I'll give you that in just one moment, but a lot of times, my oldest daughter, she's like, it's too hard, I don't want to do it. She wants to find the shortcut. She's like the ultimate hacker, right? The ultimate biohacker. What's the shortcut? What's the shortcut? What's the shortcut? And I say, sometimes there is no shortcut, and also, you don't always want to find the shortcut. You want to learn the methodology, you want to put in the practice, and that way there you master it. You become great at it. And even if you're not best in the world, that's okay. The goal is not best in the world. The goal is not even perfection. The pursuit of perfection is totally fine. But having to be perfect is something that held me back for many, many years. It's not about being a perfectionist. It's about practice. And it's about practicing perfect, learning the right way to do it, and being able to improve from there. And then taking note of your improvements. And so that's why I tell my daughter, I said, listen, remember when you couldn't do this? And I might say like jump roping. Now you can. And oh, yes, okay, you're not good yet at dribbling a basketball. Well, you'll learn how to do that just like you did with soccer or jump rope or whatever we're talking about. And the latest thing that we're getting into, and I really want to get into it for this summer, is archery. And the reason why I want to do it is that my oldest daughter took a liking to it. I didn't force her to have to do it. I've done it very few times, but I've always enjoyed it. And she tried it for the first time, and she just kept asking for more and more arrows to shoot. Like, she just loved it. And she was not very good at it, like very poor. The arrow just fell off of her bow many, many times. But for whatever reason, she was so focused and she saw it as a challenge. So I just keep going back to, don't wish it were easy. And then I show this is what it can look like at the end. So she'll watch an archery video. I have two women basically, I've shown this over and over for archery competitions, and they're competing. And they're competing at 70 yards away. And 70 yards away, if you've never done it before, I mean, that's like, it's light years away trying to be able to hit that with a bullseye. And they're like, how are they hitting that bullseye over and over and over? And I say, all it was practice. At one point, they didn't even know how to hold the bow. And now they're competing for world champion. So that's what we go back to, is that you can do and you can be and you can have and you can learn anything that you want in this world. It just takes practice. That's it. So commit to it. So that's one point that I'm sharing with them. The second thing is this. Do the things that you don't like to do. So there are times in life that you simply have to do things that you don't like to do. Now, these should never be things that you're pressured into peer pressure-wise or anything like that. That's not what this is about. This is things such as, for example, my daughter does not like to do online school, online education, like she did going to school. She loves going to school, but she doesn't like the online part of it. It does not hold her attention as much. She doesn't have that direct feedback, which she really appreciates. So it is more of a struggle to get her to want to do those things, whereas she would be up and ready to go for school each and every morning. And if there was ever a day off, she'd be like, oh, that's too bad. Like, I love seeing my friends. I love seeing my teachers. and I love doing the work. But when she's home, doesn't really love to do it. So when we have these assignments that she has to do, I go back to, and this is a Brian Tracy, I believe, book. Again, I apologize if I'm quoting the wrong person. I'm doing this all from memory. But I believe it was Brian Tracy that came up with a book called Eat That Frog. And he's not the inventor of this. But again, no one's really the inventor of a lot of these ideas, right? Because they've been around forever. Eat that frog means do the hardest thing that you don't want to do first. So if you have a massive to-do list, if you have a big to-do list, do the thing first, the hard thing first that you don't want to do. Because you're going to be dreading it and thinking about it all day long. That's it. You're going to be, and it's going to put you in a bad mood. But if you were to do it first, you do nothing else except for that one thing. You carve out 30 minutes for it or 60 minutes for it. You're done. That's it. You get a great sense of accomplishment, and you're able to do the thing that you know that you don't want to do, but you have to because it's going to move you forward. My daughter has to do her schoolwork. It's not an option. She has to do it. Now, I know for some families, they'll make it an option later in life or whatever it might be. And my daughter gets to decide that too when she's 18 years old. It's her choice if she wants to go to university, college, etc., or not. I mean, things are going to be very different. Even if we didn't go through this whole pandemic and virtual-based learning, things are going to be different anyways. I mean, things are moving online regardless because it's the smartest way to learn. I mean, the truth is, and I've mentioned this many, many times, I'll just give you a 1-minute aside. If I can learn from the most brilliant professor in one thing, but he's in Germany, not in the United States, why shouldn't I be able to take an online course from that particular, for me, be a doctor? And I'm saying this realistically because there was a doctor where I took one of his courses on a specific type of study called bioregulatory medicine, and the specific subtopic was called homotoxicology. And I got to learn from this doctor who was in Germany. I decided to take his seminar. But I mean, like, imagine an international school based upon the best of the best in your specific field. I mean, how great would that be? These would be like teaching professors. So again, I think being a professor is an amazing job, but imagine like learning from people. Okay, this doctor just came out of surgery, yesterday and is now teaching you on the exact topic today. I mean, I think that's absolutely fantastic. But again, I digress. So point number 2 is this. Do the things that you don't like to do and try to do them first in your day. So now before my daughter heads outside to play, because of course we want our girls to get outside, get fresh air every single day, even back in Boston and Maine in this cold New England weather, right? Coming from the beautiful West Coast, 80 degrees, sunny, cool breeze, beautiful every day, right? Every day, amazing. Come back to New England, but this is us. I mean, like, we are New Englanders through and through. It's cold, it's rainy. There was actually a little snow this morning in early April. I shouldn't say early April. I should say late April, early May. And I'm out there with my dog, and like, it's brisk. I have my winter coat on, but it's great. It is great. But this is what my daughter does. She gets up. Before she gets to get outside, she has to do her worksheets. And she will complain about it, whatever it is. She has her breakfast, and then she does that. And she just knows that, like, hey, listen, you can keep complaining, but the longer you complain, the longer you put off doing the things that you want to do. So she's getting it. She's learning it, and at an early age. That's what we're trying to do. Again, we're not perfect. I don't want you to think at any point that you think, my wife and I have this down to a science and we're perfect. We're not. But we do our best. We're just trying to do our best, and that's what I simply share with everyone. And hopefully you can understand these lessons that I'm teaching my children. Well, they're obviously for adults as well. All right, number 3 is this. Learn from your mistakes. Every single time I hire someone for my team as well, for health coaches, Equilibrium Nutrition, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, private practice, etc. I say, you can make as many mistakes as you want. Just don't repeat the same one twice. And people are kind of taken aback by that. I say, no, listen, do things. Do them quickly, experiment, try things out. I love innovation. I want your feedback. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just learn from your mistakes. Let's not make the same one twice. And you can tell me, listen, I messed up. I made a mistake. And I'll say, okay, why did it go wrong? How did it happen? What can we learn from it? How do we make sure it doesn't happen again? And again, just trying to teach my daughters the same thing, because I want everyone to know it's okay to make mistakes. You actually hold yourself back if you don't make mistakes often enough. If I'm not making mistakes, it means that I'm moving too slowly through life. The whole paralysis by analysis. Oh, well, I need all of this data first. I teach all of the IHPs. Get out there. Start teaching people. Start teaching. Well, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to set up, a Facebook live event. Watch a YouTube video. Test it out. You're probably not going to have 50,000 people on your first Facebook Live. Try it out with a couple people. Do it, friends and family. Just make mistakes. Get out there. Move forward, right? And so what we try to say is, listen, people's stubbornness with not wanting to either own a mistake or make mistake or that perfectionist attitude again only hurts them in the long run. And also, not owning up to your mistakes is an ego thing, right? The ego doesn't want to be challenged. It doesn't want to be let down. Your subconscious might be fragile. And this is a self-awareness thing. And believe me, it takes one to know one. I only overcame this just a few years ago. And I can feel it inside of me still happen. It's like, oh, okay, like you need to own up to this. This was on you. Because, I can still, I am always firing from the hip, right? Like, right away, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, now in hindsight, let me apologize. Let me go back. Let me correct myself, whatever it might be. But that is how I'm choosing to live my life. And I'm more conscious, of course. I'm getting more conscious each and every year. But I always like to let people know, listen, it always comes from a good place. I have good intentions, but I need to own up to my mistakes. That's for me personally. For my daughters, the same thing. Listen, if you did something, I know you're upset, you got caught, whatever it might be, but here's the thing. Own up to your mistakes. It's not a big deal. You didn't know. Now that you know, let's not make it happen again, right? And what can we do about that, right? How did it happen? What can we do in the future to prevent it? That's it. Number 4 is this. Be kind. Be kind to others. That's something that my wife has really instilled in our daughters, and she's done a great job. It's simply be kind to others. She will say to my daughters, are you being a kind friend to your cousins, whether at a birthday party or to someone at school? Or if we hear a story about one classmate making fun of another classmate or bullying or whatever it might be, my wife always says, did you stick up for that person? Were you a kind friend? Did you make sure that you did not go along with that? And not in like a negative enforcement way, meaning like trying to make them feel bad, but just making sure that, listen, we treat others with respect. If you want to be treated with respect, treat others with respect, right? Do unto others as you would have them do to you. I think that's pretty much the statement that we should all live by. It really is. Keep religion in or take religion out. Totally up to you. But the mantra is amazing. Do unto others as you would have them do to you. So if you want people to be mean to you, well, then go right ahead and be mean to others. I don't suggest it. That's not a very happy and healthy life. But if you want kindness to come back to you, put it out there in the world. Be kind to others. There's almost no downside. No downside 99.99% of the time. And I'll take those odds any day of the week. Any day of the week. All right. So be a good person. That's really what it's all about. We're trying to just raise good daughters, good girls, good women. That's it. The 5th one is this, is persistence. Persistence is my mantra in life. Well, there's 2 main things that I live by every single day. That's gratitude and perspective. My daughters are really too young to have a whole lot of gratitude or a whole lot of perspective. Now, as a child, you always say you want your kids to be grateful, all of those things. I totally get it. It's difficult to be grateful when you don't have any perspective. And it's difficult to have perspective when you're only 5 years old or 7 years old, right? So that takes a little bit of time. But my big one in life, to be able to move through this life, is persistence. Because there is an ebb and flow to life. We're in one of those right now. We're in a little bit of a downturn. We're in a little bit of a negative time. We are hearing politicians go back and forth against one another, put each other down. We're also listening to politicians tell you to turn your neighbors in, turn businesses in. This is the wrong way to live. In my opinion, again, it's one person's opinion. But that is, unless someone is harming another individual, be kind, right? Be kind. But also, just as a society right now, persistence. And here's why. We teach them, there's an ebb and flow. You've been through bad times before, and it's harder to see the perspective when you're a child. And that's why we teach it a little bit differently. But as an adult, you've been through rough times before. You have. You're still here. That's the amazing thing. As humans, we have amazing resilience, and that comes from persistence. So my highest recommendation to you is this, is that you realize that you've gone through hard times before, you persisted, whether you liked it or not, and you're still here. That we will always get through, as long as we don't give up, we will always get through the difficult times in our lives. We don't always know how, and we don't always know how long it will last. Sometimes that's up to us, sometimes it isn't. If we can speed up the process to get back to those better times through our thoughts, feelings, and actions, we should do that. And if we can't, we are simply going to keep our head up, keep our chin up, and continue to persist. There'll be better days than others, no doubt about it. Some days will feel pretty low. Some days we'll be fearful. We'll be anxious. We won't do the right things or make the right choices. We will make mistakes. But each day we have a new opportunity to expand ourselves, to get better, and to move forward. And if we can teach that to our children, yes, in our words, persist through when you have a difficult time in a particular subject to school, or you're not the best at a particular sport or activity, but to continue to persist. And if we can be the role model as well for our family, for our friends, for our community, and for our children, I can see no better way than to live our life that way. No better way to be that example, because children listen to our words, but they see our actions. And our actions are so much stronger than our words. We live our beliefs, right? We truly are what we live. So if we want to set that example, it's a day in and day out action. And I'm telling you right now, what you do, not every once in a while, like again, we all slip up, but what you do the majority of the time is what people begin to believe you are. And that goes double time for your kids as well. So these 5 lessons, these hard lessons that I'm trying to teach my children right now, I think they're great for adults. And if we can learn them as children, even better. Hopefully today's podcast was helpful. Thanks so much for tuning into the show. I appreciate you. And as always, if this show was helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone you believe it could serve. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.